Mandis, are you good to go?
Yes, Ben, I'm good to go.
Okay. All right. Good evening, distinguished engineers and participants. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this wonderful edition of our monthly regular program, Inside the Arena. Today, Inside the Arena is a very distinguished Nigerian, a recipient of the distinguished and prestigious honorary fellowship of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, the founder of Zitin Engineering, the founder of Kakata Engineering. It's my pleasure to humbly welcome to the 41st edition of Inside the Arena, our very distinguished, should I say spouses will say engineers, Mr. Azibaola Robert. It's a pleasure to have you inside the arena today, sir.
Thank you, Ben OC, Engineer Ben OC, also now the Honorable Commissioner of Works of Enugu State Government. It's my pleasure to be with you today and my colleagues who are online with us today.
Thank you so much, sir. And I will also want to say that I have with me, who will be joining me, and we will be asking also some of the questions Engineer Emmanuel Ejika. Engineer Emmanuel Ejika is going to be joining us as a co-anchor of this program. And maybe in some subsequent editions, we may also be seeing his face as the anchor of this program. Ejika, you are welcome.
Thank you very much,
Honorable
Commissioner Works.
Leave that one aside. All right. If Mr. Azibaola Robert, can you share some insights about your early life, where you were born, your family background, and your journey in life?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ben OC, and all my colleagues who are joining online, and those who are online and those who are going to join us later. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today, and I really hope that today will not be about me, but I mean, since you have asked the question, I will need to give a quick summary of it. I'm a very local rural boy. I was born in a village, in a small village called Utakeme in Bayelsa State, now Ogbea local government area of Bayelsa State. And in the field of engineering, I am very close to one very notable location in Nigeria, which everybody in Nigeria will have mentioned the name one way or the other by way of our academic studies, and that is Oloibiri oil field, which is location 1, very close to my village. It's the next village to my village, actually. It's where oil was discovered. So I was born 56 years ago there, and my journey to Abuja, or where I am today, has been very tempestuous. Starting as a young boy who didn't have, who had almost zero opportunity of going to school, I was able to go to school through several primary schools, at least 5 or 6 primary schools. So I was almost like a migrant pupil, and then finally came to Port Harcourt and finished my primary school at the Baptist Day School, Port Harcourt. From there, I went back to the village where I schooled in a place called Wema Comprehensive Secondary School, where I passed and went to the university, River State University of Science and Technology, then now River State University. So then at the university level, I studied law and became a lawyer called to the Nigerian bar in 1995, actually. Graduated in 1994, but was called to bar in 1995. And that's how the journey. So that's about 31 years being a lawyer and to date. And then from there, everything then unfolded. I will leave the rest for questioning, but in real terms, I have never had a salary in life. So I have always been an independent person who had worked for himself. I have never had opportunity. I've never had a stink in government, so I've always worked for myself.
Stay on your education part in life, especially for your decision to study law. How did it shape your later interest in nation building and innovation?
Okay, so as a kid, I was a hands-on person. And maybe my being a lawyer, I studied law, was a divine providence or by accident. Actually, my choice of course of a university degree was chosen for me by my mother. But I always wanted to be an engineer or a doctor. And that's why at the secondary school level, I concentrated and had excellence in the science subjects. I was a very beautiful mathematician when I was in the secondary school, including additional maths, physics, chemistry, and all the science subjects. I was the best out of the lot in the village at that time. And even when I came to the township, I had a good competition with those with me in the extramural classes that we passed through then. So I had always been a science person. But then at the time that I finished my secondary school, I had a leap of faith to go and read law instead. And the only, to go and read something else instead, because the only subjects that qualified me to go to university immediately were combining the subjects that I have passed. And it was only law that was meaningful for me to this thing. Otherwise, probably I would have been an engineer. But I don't have a regret for it because all things happen for good.
Now, after studying law, you began as a journalist, then human rights activist. What moments or experiences led you to cross over into national service and entrepreneurship?
Well, actually was not really a practicing journalist, although I had comradeship in the journalism field, but I was more like a human rights person. I did human rights, pro-democracy activism, environmental justice work, and all that. Those are the things that people of conscience were called up to pursue. And then days when the military was holding sway. Of course, you know about the story of the Abachas and the Babangidas and this. So I was in the forefront, the vanguard of the Babangida must go and the actualization of the June 12, 1993 election. So those things spurred me. But before then, I was a student union leader as well in university, and I rose up to become the vice president of the National Association of Nigerian Students. From where we had to mobilize students from one university to the other, traveling in dangerous moments, night journey across the country, trying to mobilize students to resist military rule in Nigeria. So I used to say that if there were people who needed a national awards, we were the ones who were called to service then, who took the risk because we took the bullets. I know then when I was agitating, maybe those who have Christian passion will say 1,000 will fall by my left and 1,000 will fall by my right, and then you will not be hurt or something. I actually saw people falling on my right and falling on my left, and I was not hurt. So we were prepared and sacrificing to give our life to nation building. But then immediately after the democracy was restored in Nigeria, that's 1999 restoration of democracy in Nigeria, I made up my mind to shift away from human and environmental rights work and pro-democracy activism. Because I mean, almost that our aspirations had been fulfilled in terms of Nigeria becoming a democratic country again. So I now ventured into business. I made it.
Now talking about business, how did you come into engineering and also manufacturing? And what inspired these bold transitions?
Okay, so that's about passion. It's actually my passion. I've always been an engineer inwardly, and it's exhibiting your passion was the end goal in life. And right from childhood, I've always been tinkering with tools. I like working with tools. And then those passion of tools, using tools and doing so many things that either destroy or make, you open the radio of your auntie and try to see the voices inside, whether they are human beings or not. And then you open the fridge to see what's causing the cooling of the fridge and all that. These are the things that were, I was passionate about. So that passion drove me into what I am today. I tried to improve on the passion and tried to say that there's nothing actually impossible that anybody with a skin could do that I couldn't do. And that's how the drive came about. So I started with furniture making actually in Port Harcourt, and then moved it to Inagua, had a big furniture factory. So I was making doors, windows. So that's basically woodworks, doing a lot of woodworks. Under a company called Mangrove Tech Nigeria Limited. From there, we transited to another company. When I was ready for full engineering works, we now transited to Kakatar Engineering and Construction, and then also Kakatar Group. So that's how the transition started. And then we started getting jobs in Nigeria. But in all this passion, it was not about profit making. It was about making a statement that it is possible to do. I mean, today in the religious sphere, you say that there is nothing God cannot do. For me, I feel that there is nothing a human being cannot do if he puts his mind to it and is passionate about it. And that's what has brought me to where I am today.
What challenges did you face as a young Nigerian trying to establish a presence in serious national assignments and infrastructure delivery?
Well, the challenges will always be there. Nigeria is a country that is dominated by the foreign entities and foreign interests and foreign companies. There are so many challenges that demoralizes the average young man when he wants to venture into this. The first thing is to say, can you do it? Are you able to do it? What's your foreign partners? Where are your, what's your, what's they call? What's your, where are your equipments? What's your turnover? A lot of those questions that are asked in the engineering sphere are things that the average person will be demoralized from continuing. But in my case, I decided that I was going to push on irrespective of those challenges. So the first thing to do is to say, okay, if the issue is about getting equipment, whatever money or whatever resource that is at my disposal, just invest it in getting equipment. So I started by buying equipment and buying equipment and buying equipment. The other thing is, well, this is not about profit making. This is just about making a statement, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a transition from the kind of agitations that I was doing in the pro-democracy movement, so engineering. So I was basically trying to see how can I use the talents that I have to alleviate the engineering profession by making them to have a a footing in the engineering infrastructure of Nigeria to say, yes, Nigerians are able to build Nigeria. And that's the purpose why I established the slogan, Nigerians building Nigeria. And of course, one of the first indigenous company that got an infrastructural development projects to do in Abuja, we were awarded the Maitama Extension District project, which was a huge project at that time by everybody's estimation. But I made it a point of duty to ensure that only Nigerian engineers are employed, because I wanted to make a statement that irrespective of our color, that the Nigerian engineer has the capacity to do what any other engineer is doing anywhere in the world. Because basically, engineering is about measurements and material mixing. And of course, I mean, when I talk about engineering here, I'm referring to civil engineering. It's about measurements of materials and then also mixing the materials in the right ratio and proportion and making it to become a solid. So, I mean, and applying equipment to move soil from one point to the other and getting roads done, getting concrete buildings done and all that. So it's not, usually you used to say, oh, this is rocket science or no rocket science. I mean, today, rocket science itself is no longer a very difficult thing to do. So it's engineering, basic engineering of building roads and this thing. We are no rocket science to do. So I was just a motivator in that respect, motivate people to be able to put in the work and get the results done. And I think that looking back, I am happy at the work that I did in that respect. So many engineers, Nigerian engineers, got employed and got their abilities and capacities tested, and they were happy that I gave them that opportunity. This whole idea that somebody who has a skin color other than yours will stand beside you and breathe on you to call you names, derogatory names, sometimes even calling you niggers and that and that. I am not a racist, okay? But I know as a matter of fact that every country in this world, most countries in this world, 90% of their infrastructures are built by their local engineers and local companies. It is a misnomer, and in fact, it's a shame in Nigeria that we still rely on foreign entities to build simple things like roads, like bridge, like buildings in this country. And then we insist, when you go to bid for project, they insist for you that you must have a foreign partner, which, I mean, what's foreign about being a foreign partner? As long as you believe in yourself that you have a capacity, then you should be able to acknowledge the fact that you are a foreign partner to yourself.
You must say that the slogan or motto of your company, Nigerians Building Nigeria, was patriotic or is patriotic, because I took pride in that. Not just that you hired Nigerian engineers, as at that time you were carrying out the infrastructural development of the Maitama extension. Mangrove Tech then was one of the highest paying firm in Nigeria. It competed favorably with every other company. I could remember as far back as that time, Mangrove Tech was paying an equivalent of almost over $2,000 as at that time. Equivalent, that's for monthly salary. Young engineers earning 300,000, 400,000 naira as at that time, I think is very commendable. And that vision will not die and will never die. We thank you for that. Now,
yeah,
you have, led several major civil infrastructure projects apart from the Maitama extension. Can you highlight one of the projects you have handled that truly defines your commitment to excellence?
Well, we have actually handled several projects, including deep sea repairs of the Kainji Dam. And I can assure you that it's what's one of the notable experiences that I have, that Nigerians will be allowed to go to Kainji Dam and dive some 50 meters down or 20, 30 meters down and do concrete works and cast it. It's an opportunity that anytime I look at it, I say, yeah, it worked. These are things that were being done by the Chinese, by the Germans, you know, dam. Once they call dam, they think it's so huge thing that it is impossible for Nigerians to do. So then the Maitama district extension, you know about it. It's an opportunity that I don't take it for granted. And right now, also, we are doing the Karshiapo infrastructure, Karshiapo bypass, Karshi Apo bypass, which is almost like 90% completed. And that's one of the most difficult projects that exists in Abuja. And it's a rocky terrain that we have to bring down 50 meters high hill to zero level. And it's massive hill full of dead and live rocks. And we have to bring it down to zero level. You bring equipment there, brand new equipment, and in 1 year or less than 1 year, it becomes a carcass because it is, D10, not D8, D10, D12 caterpillar, and then you are pushing and pushing and pushing. The most important thing is that once you have a projects like that, you stay on course, you stay online. It's unfortunate that in this country, it is difficult to get resources or payment, or engineering infrastructures are politicized on the basis of your political opinion or views and all that. But that's the reason why we discriminate ourselves against, ourselves, because if I am doing one infrastructure project and somebody who does not like my political leaning comes, he says, oh, yeah, it's been done by so kill it, in spite of the benefits that goes to the nation. So these are the things. I think I am proud of what I've been able to achieve, but it's not the physical structures or a physical project that is important. It is the satisfaction that it is something that has been noted and has been ingrained in the mind of the engineer that this thing is possible in Nigeria and is being done in Nigeria. That's my beautiful summary of it, and that's my joy.
Engineering is focused on precision manufacturing. What inspired you to enter the industrial space?
Okay, so for me, the end goal of my engineering passion wasn't about loading laterites taking them from one point to the other, or taking spoiled materials and throwing them away, or mixing concrete in the ratio of concrete, cement, sand. Cement, sand, and all that. That's not. That's basic engineering. And this is with due regards to the civil engineers anyway. But my end passion for engineering has always been in the mechanical field. And that's also part of the things that I feel that I could do for Nigeria while I'm alive and I'm at this age and I have the resources to be able to do it. So the mechanical engineering phase is the most critical part of engineering in a country. A country that does not get its acts together in terms of being able to produce the earth movers that it needs, the trucks that it needs, and the equipment that it's used to manufacture other equipment cannot become a developed country. And from the point of view of industrial revolution, it has always been how to move things from one point to the other. For instance, the things like the steam engine and all that. And then eventually conquest became the in thing of the world by people inventing guns and all that. So it's mechanical engineering and precision engineering have always been my passion. And considerably, I have done a lot about mechanical engineering and precision engineering. What I need to do is to keep pushing. If I know that even if I don't complete it in my lifetime, somebody else will follow suit behind me and do this thing. For instance, I mean, today everybody talks about Tesla, Elon Musk, Tesla, Elon Musk. Tesla was someone who had a vision and invented things that became today. Elon Musk is just catching in on it and say, "Oh, we have a Tesla, we have a Tesla cars and all that." But somebody has died as Tesla, whose day was Tesla, died without achieving his final aim. So I'm not one who will say that, oh, I will leave my struggles in the engineering profession, in mechanical engineering, and die. But even if at the end of the day I don't achieve it, I know that I have people who will continue from where I started. Nigeria really needs to put its acts together in the field of mechanical engineering. Really, that's not to underestimate civil engineering. Of course, the monuments in Nigeria, across Nigeria, should be constructed by Nigerians. And I know that, I mean, it's only in this country, one country, that monuments are constructed and named after the construction companies that constructed them. And if you look at them, most of them are, I mean, if you go to anything, say, oh, this one was built by B, this one was built by C, this one was built by A. But who are the people who design these things? The people who design these things probably are Nigerians. Their names are buried. And then the names of the multinationals who put them together became renowned all over the place. I mean, if you go abroad, most of those structures you see around, you say, oh, it was designed by this. Oh, the Oprah, this thing was designed by this. It was designed by that. So that's it. And well, I can keep talking, but I think that I want to push the sphere of mechanical engineering further.
Wow. Okay, for those who are just joining us, we have inside the arena today a very distinguished Nigerian, the recipient of the honorary fellowship of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, the founder of Kakata Engineering, and also founder of Zitin Engineering. Should I say barrister this time? He prefers to call himself the carpenter, or Mr. Azibaola Robert, FNSC. You are welcome. Ejika,
Thank
please,
you.
can you take it off from here?
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Azibaola is one person I respect and admire very much. And it's good we are having you here, sir. So, sir, the next question is, what specific innovations or prototypes has Zitin produced that you are most proud of?
Okay, Zitin is actually work in progress. I cannot say that we have a prototype that we have produced right now, but Zitin is a catalyst for the industrialization of Nigeria, and that's my prototype. Okay, now what is Zitin about? Zitin is about precision engineering and also trying to put the first electric car possibly made in Nigeria together. It is not a one-day job, it's an Herculean task. And it's something that takes a generation to achieve it. This achievement will be done before this generation expires. Now, it is the best thing that I could say that Zitin has done is to dream it. And I encourage everybody to dream it. You have to dream it. If you don't dream it, when you dream, you put your dreams into action. I'm not talking about sleeping, dreaming, sleeping. It is the dream that you take when you are, when you are fully awake, and then you meditate. This is my own meditation. How can I build a synergy of Nigerian engineers to come together and build structures, engineering facilities that are able to stand the test of time. Now, the whole notion is that we have a country, we have a people who treasure foreign-made goods against locally made goods. No country develops in that direction. Every country must be proud of the goods or the services or the technology that is locally made against international technologies. It might not be as good as we used to think. When I was a child, when you mention anything that was made in China, people will just say, they will laugh at you. Oh, yeah, that one at China. The Germans were in charge of anything engineering, anything mechanical engineering, anything automotive, anything is the Germans and then the Americans. China was backward, but China did not stop there. China encouraged their people and keep encouraging them. And today, the Germans go to China, Americans go to China, everybody goes to China. Same thing comes to Turkey now. The Europe now, most European countries, they are going to Turkey to buy things, machines and machineries. Even I have friends who are producing machines for NASA. You know, NASA today is no longer what they used to say. NASA is the owner of rocket science. Elon Musk has taken over rocket science. So what we need to do in this country, and I am trying to do, is to aggregate ourselves. No single person in this world has ever made a car alone. No single person. Of course, you know that a car is made up of 30,000 parts. 30,000 parts means that the average car manufacturer will have to bring in manufacture at least 10,000 manufacturers, each person supplying small parts, and small parts. It is the end product of the person who puts all this together and couples it together that stamps his name as the maker of that car. For instance, if you say Toyota, Toyota probably will have brought in several suppliers, say chain of supply across the globe to make that car. Now, what happens in Nigeria? What can we achieve? That's the questions that we can ask ourselves, and which is what I am trying to achieve. Can't we, as a people, bring all those who are making various parts, irrespective of their quality, presently, together to say it is possible for us to join forces together and make one whole part? If you go, for instance, you go to Aba or you go to Onitsha, or you go to all those places, you see people who are making little things like gaskets, little things like springs, little things, even upholstery. People are making upholstery and replacing upholstery in the cars of the cars that came when they get bad. We make the upholstery locally and replace it. The most important thing is that how can we improve the quality? And that takes me to what is called quality control. How can we improve the quality of upholstery to the extent that if you put the one that comes with a Mercedes, brand new Mercedes-Benz, and the one that was made in Nigeria, put them together, dismantle one and put them together in one place and ask somebody to come and check which one probably comes from abroad, and the person becomes confused. So that's part of what we call an encouragement. And in every country, in Indonesia, for instance, they have this union where they have the Auto Part Manufacturers Union of Indonesia, where they collaborate and say, okay, you can make one part, you can make this part, you can make upholstery, yes, okay, you can make engine block, and I mean, engine block is not a rocket science. Engine block is one of the most little things that we can do, and there are machines all over the place, computerized numerical control machines, CNC machines, that once you do your design on your laptop using the softwares like SolidWorks and all that, you do it, and then you feed it into the machines, it caps it for you. So what do we need in this country? We need a solid industry for metals. Solid industry for metal. That is, why is we go to market and buy only all you can find in market are pipes and mild steel pipes, of course, you know, mild steel pipes. And then you see H-beams. And then you see corrugated sheets. Those are the only metals that we have in this country. We need solid metals that once it is far bigger than the size of finished engine block, and then you can carve from there, just like carving wood to a seat, to become a stool for you. And those are the things that we are looking at to be able to do. So I have equipment that are able to do some of these things, but I mean, you can't produce everything in one place. It must be a shared responsibility, and that shared responsibility must go around the country. So we have to go around the country. So what I'm trying to do now is to start what they call the automobile National Association of Automobile Producers in Nigeria, and then also go around the country and tell people, show people, those people that are also producing gaskets. You know, when you go to the mechanic and your top gasket is possibly burnt and you don't have the ready-made one coming from abroad, the mechanic will say, okay, there is somebody who cuts it. Why is it that that person who is cutting top cylinder gasket is not able to cut it to commercial level without necessarily cutting on the basis of equipment by equipment by equipment, cutting gaskets and mass producing it and sending it out as a Nigerian product? Now, second, the other thing is that nobody produces 90% of what we consume as the technology is mostly produced in the garages of people, not factories. Factories are things, most of the factories are just for assembly. So when you are assembling, you have a lot of parts that are coming in, so you need to produce, you need to have a big factory to do it. But I mean, if you want to do something like, I have equipment here, so I probably will show you a few equipments that I have here. This is a borax, for instance. We don't need a big factory to produce borax in Nigeria like this one. Is a versatile object that you have it in most equipment that, I mean, mechanical equipment that you have, because it enables it to turn. Now, this borax, we have no business to import borax into this country, because this one can be made in the garage of Benosi or Engineer GK or somebody. You can just make boraxes and then made. I mean, what China did, I'm not talking about, I know about intellectual property. What China did was, first of all, to start making these things and labeling it made in Germany, because they wanted it to be accepted across the globe, or made in USA or something. But today, people are making things like this in their garages, and with just one or two machines, a family business. So I need to try to see how we can encourage people to be able to do this in this country. And if we are doing this, you see that the economy of Nigeria will boom. But where do you get the metals to do this? Where do you get the metal?
Thank you very much. You see, all of these, your activities and action, especially engineering space, has earned you recognition, especially within the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Sir, as an honorary fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, what does this recognition mean to you? And how do you see the role of engineering in transforming Nigeria?
First of all, I am humbled by the fact that possibly the first lawyer in Nigeria who has no governmental position to be honored to be a fellow of Nigerian Society of Engineers. I am honored and humbled by that, and it spurs me to work harder, so that I don't disappoint the society. I carry my head up with a lot of gratitude in that respect. Now, the second part of it is, what do we need? I think I've almost mentioned what we need to do in this country to make the Nigerian engineering community more dignified. We we look down on ourselves too much. We belittle ourselves and think that because we are Nigerians or we come from our skin is black and the others are white, the white automatically becomes an expatriate and we are the local district. So sometimes we say, oh, this what I mean. People in advanced countries are proud to say that this is local. In our country, we are ashamed when we say this is local. Locally made gun, locally made gun. If we put our acts together and encourage those who are locally made gun owners, where did you buy it from? Can the engineer look at it and improve the quality by redesigning it and improving and keep improving and keep improving? By now, we will have got our own Nigerian made gun. Why do we have to say it's a locally made gun? I mean, I went to Bayelsa the other day and I was talking about gin and I mean, we have so many palm wine tappers in this country. Palm wine tapping is an age-old business in this country. But have we been able to convert palm wine tapping into a drink, a national drink that is acceptable to all Nigerians and even exported across the globe as a drink owned by Nigerians? What do we produce? We produce it and say illicit gin. We call our own illicit. How illicit is illicit? The chemical composition can be controlled when we have people who come together as engineers, lab scientists, and others and put it together and say, why can't we control the chemical composition? So you write it there and say water 50%, alcohol 10%, this 10%, and then you can even do grade A, grade D. Why do we have to drink 40 years old wine? Alcohol from abroad? And who tells you that they even brew it for 40 years? Really? All that is just labeling, as far as I'm concerned. So they brew it for maybe 1 year, 2 years, and add chemical and say, oh, it's 40 years old. And then you buy it for 20 million, 5 million, 2 million, 3 million. It's a shame. So the only way to do Nigeria is that the Nigerian Society of Engineers probably will need to be more focused to say, let us encourage indigenous production of basic things in this country. And instead of buying machines that produce that, instead of buying machines that we use for pleasure, let us encourage ourselves to buy machines that produce goods. So if China buys machines from the US, CNC machines, to produce borax, as I said it, we should be able also to buy that machine and bring it to Nigeria and produce borax and sell it to Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. So I want to ask you this question. What are the systemic barriers you have encountered while promoting local manufacturing and technical innovation? The systemic barriers that you have encountered while you promote local manufacturing and technical innovation?
First of all, now we are talking about greatly mechanical engineering and maybe electrical engineering. You see, no country can develop without availability of ready metals of various grades, metals in cubes and in cylinders, solid metals, not pipes that run water, not pipes that run petrol. Yes, may be useful. What they send to us is building materials, simple, finish. Every other thing you cannot. So I tried, for instance, one of the machines that I have, the computerized numerical control machines I have, works only with solid metals. And if the solid metals could be, it could be 500 by 500 cube. It could be stainless steel. It could be aluminum. I mean, of course, you know that engines are made by strong metals like aluminum and stainless steel materials. It could be. How do you get it? When you go to and get a cube of that nature and import it to Nigeria, Nigeria will charge you for the weight and for the value of the cube that you are bringing. In other words, it is easier to buy and bring a finished engine block than to buy the raw materials for the making of engine block in Nigeria. So that shows that we are going to be perpetually there. We are going to be perpetual. Now, meanwhile, there is something I want to send to China. Small material I want to send to China. They are charging me the cost of sending. I mean, they are sent to Turkey. The cost of sending it to Turkey is 5 times the cost of that product. In other words, it's easier for me to bring that product into Nigeria through either Amazon or those people than to send that same thing out of Nigeria. Why is it that the same weight, the same volume, the same make, it is cheaper to bring from outside than to send from? The other thing is that they discourage us from sending solid materials abroad. That's why if you go to most of the courier companies, they will tell you, oh, they don't carry metals. Oh, they don't carry this. They don't carry metals, but they carry metals from abroad into Nigeria, but they don't carry metals from Nigeria abroad. So those are the things. So those are systematic problems that we have in Nigeria, which must be resolved. You cannot have different fields, I mean, different goal points for different competitors. There must be uniformity. So I have so many other things that are problem. Then those are the other ones are things that all of us are clearly we are aware. What is it? Electricity, energy, cost of energy in Nigeria is too high and you cannot even get it. When you get it, it will ruin you down. Now, not just cost of electricity, cost of raw materials in Nigeria. When you go, for instance, you say how do you, for instance, process rubber to make it a tire? The cost of the rubber, the people will prefer to export their rubber to end users abroad than to sell it to Nigeria. What of hide and skin? Simple things. We have cows all over the place. We are not able to produce leather that is ready-made and beautiful and wonderful. We cannot produce it in Nigeria. So if you want to buy a beautiful bag, you must go to Turkey, you must go to India, you must go to this and buy those bags. Whereas all kinds of leather, beautiful leather, can be processed and made in Nigeria. So systematically, we must love our own. We love ourselves before external persons will love us.
Thank you very much, sir. In the course of your business and your visions and all these endeavors, we definitely know that you have faced a lot of skepticism and political distractions. Can you please tell us, how do you stay resilient in this? How do you do it?
The thing is, as I said, it's not about me. And for me, it's a passion. It's not about making money or profit making. But if I say, if it were for money or this thing, I'm a self-contented person. So it's about passion. So if you first of all, you must develop the passion. If you develop the passion, then no matter the resistance, no matter the discouragement, you will continue to push ahead. But if you are doing it just for the purpose of making money, then the possibility is that you are going to compromise your objectives. And so, irrespective, I'm sure, of course, you know that I've had a lot of political pushbacks. If it were not for the political pushback, I would probably be far ahead in this journey that I have taken. But I mean, I have no regrets because I mean that's where I belong, and I will continue to push my dreams in that respect until when I know that it is not possible to progress again. But I know that definitely at the end of the day, I will continue to progress. So when sometimes when I have the political pushback, it gives me even time to rethink and remeditate and do it better, and then also immerse myself in things that motivate people. So for instance, now most of the things I do is to have to motivate the younger ones, and then to show them that, look, irrespective of where I have been or my level, my status in society, it's immaterial. You will still need to be, on the ground trying to do those things that make meaning to people. So um, practical the practical things I do keeps me away from some of the pushbacks that I get as a uh, result of it. And I'm
Wow,
happy. Yes.
that's very interesting. The passion for me. So with all of this, what is the most valuable leadership lesson you have learned from building companies, especially in challenging environments?
The most valuable lesson is that if you are starting something, first, you must have the passion. And second, you must be personally involved. If you are not personally involved, you will sink. And then, irrespective of whether you're making profit or you are not making profit, are you imparting knowledge? Are you adding to the are you adding to the knowledge base of society or the people with whom you work? And you must bring yourself to the level where you don't boss your workers too much. You must create a friendship with them and become their friend. You crack jokes, work together, take part of their work, put yourself in their shoes so that, sometimes it helps to create that, mutual friendship and then make a much more progress. But if it is about money, 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 well, the money will come, but you will not leave a legacy, lasting legacy at the end of the day. And the one thing I have learned in life is that if I asked you that 50 years ago or 100 years ago, who was the richest man in the world, probably you will not know. Okay, but as an engineer, if I ask you that, oh, who invented the electricity, you will know. Basic things, that last several generations longer. Of course, at the end of the day, everybody's name will be forgotten down the centuries. Like, I mean, this world will live billions and billions of years. So we don't expect that every people's name will be remembered forever. But for the near future, how do you want to be remembered? If you die as the richest man in the world, in few years' time, the richest man in the world will emerge, and then you will be forgotten. But if you die as the person who made the first car in Nigeria, I'm sure you will know that that your name will last at least for a century or 2 centuries. Of course, so getting things that solid is more beautiful than the material objectives that we are used to believe that that's the ultimate in life. It's really not the ultimate.
Now, talking about lasting legacies, remembrance, writing your name on marble, and mentorship, sir, how are you intentionally grooming the next generation of patriotic builders and innovators? And what is your message to young Nigerians, especially the Gen Zs and even some close to the Gen Z's generation who feel that dreaming big in Nigeria is unrealistic, especially with all of these happenings and economic situations now? How are you building and grooming these young people, and what is your message to us?
Well, my message to the young people, at anywhere I go, at the slightest opportunity, whether by way of speaking or by way of practical demonstration, I try to send the subtle message that, well, this is the way to go. Practical demonstration of ability is better than uh, uh, any other thing. So in doing that, I know that a lot of people are motivated, and of course, you know that it is difficult to motivate an entire nation at the same time, or to inspire an entire nation at the same time. Some will be inspired, some will be motivated, and some, it's not just about motivation. Some will also take practical steps to making that their motivation a reality. So we're doing that. Nigeria is a unique country. It's a very beautiful, opportune country that we are all opportune to belong. The only problem is that structurally the country needs to be restructured in such a way that it will give everybody a sense of belonging. And then that's, we are so factionalized by religion, by tribe, by tongue. Different things have factionalized us. It will take several generations for Nigerians to be solidified, welded together. And to that extent, I think that we are still a long walk, to getting there, by people not being identified on the basis of where they come from. Oh, I'm a Southeasterner. Oh, I'm a Southwest or Middle Belt or that and that. Or I speak Yoruba or Hausa or Igbo or something. These are the things that have kept us at bay. Once solidification comes, and those solidifications, mostly it comes by way of intermarriages. People have to be married. I know that there are barriers from the religious point of view, but once intermarriages continues to progress and progress, time will come when we become a solid country. Then they will become one solid unified country, so that there will be national heroes in this country instead of local heroes, where we say that, oh, this person is an hero, but it's hero for so tribe, it's hero for so this thing. So it's probably not going to happen. Some of it will not happen in our generation. Some of it has been happening already, especially the National Youth Service Corps program has helped to bind this nation together by people moving from one point. If it were not for that, some people from the Niger Delta will never go up north, and some people from the north will never come down south. But that is something that is happening also. So there are many things that need to be done to bring Nigeria together. The most important thing is that in the field of engineering and technology, we shouldn't discriminate on the basis of where you come from and where you did not come from. The engineering community needs to work as one and try to find solutions to the problems of Nigeria, both at the level of infrastructural development and at the level of technological advancement. Now, taking the two together, technology and infrastructural development, if I were the leader of Nigeria at this point in time, I would probably prioritize technological advancement, because with technological advancement, infrastructural development will come. Although, yeah, we know that first, without electricity and good roads, it's difficult to do industrialization. But yes, we can as well start to do simple things that we makes this country to be self-reliant on few things, particularly a few things that we need to do. If we do it, it will be beautiful for all of us and for our children and our children's children.
Thank you, sir. Sir, in the course of your life, in the course of your work, especially with your vast experience, you must have taken some decisions, some drastic, some difficult, some simple, some interesting. Tell us about a time when you had to make a difficult decision that tested both your values and your vision.
Um, Difficult decision that tested my values and vision. I have always been positive in life. I've always been positive to move on irrespective of my challenges. And I have never relented on my values, actually. I have never have a second thought as to whether my values are correct or not. I keep dreaming that these values are okay. For instance, I started activism, pro-democracy, and looking back, I'm happy at what I achieved before I stepped out of that zone. And then now I'm into engineering, this thing. Maybe the only area that you could say that have some level of this thought on me is, should I have ventured into politics, for instance? I mean, because I was one of the forefront bright lights of politics in the early 90s, especially coming from the university. I'm sure I wouldn't need to mention here, but I mean, people like the FCT minister were my juniors in university at UST. We were together. And in those days, I was more of a political figure than him. And a few people. The current Minister of Petroleum, my classmate Heniki Lukubri, and then also a few people like Kingsley Chinda and co. Should I have done this thing? No, I think that looking into the future, maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, or 50 years from now, I probably will I've made my mark to an extent that the country will still remember me as one of those who did well in trying to bring people together in the technological space. And then what again? Would I have said, okay, why not continue in the legal profession where you were trained? Well, probably you will have been an SAN at that now. Yes, I have a lot of friends who are SANs and that, but I mean, I don't have a regret that I'm not an SAN at this moment. I think that I'm contented and happy, and I want to continue to push those areas that I think that they are pushable. And at every point in time, I'm guided by my conscience that this is the right thing to do, and I'll continue to do it.
That's very awesome. So if you were to write a book about your life journey, what would be the title and what story would you want it to tell?
I think I have told most of the story that I used to tell. Well, I used to write also. I write a lot about my life and my upbringing, and I'm doing a few books now, but it's been difficult for me to keep the pace going because of my busy schedule. Writing a story about my life is something that's is immersive. You probably, if you read it, you will remember things fall apart, you conquer and all that. It's something that I have pushed a few chapters on social media, and I got a lot of encouraging feedbacks. So title about the book is what I have not chosen yet, but the content of the book is well known to me, and I'm writing it, putting the pieces together. Importantly, very importantly, is while I believe that cultures needs to be modified in order to make progress, cultures needs to be codified as well, so that those who are coming behind will be able to read it and know where we're coming from. So culturally, we have made some progress, and I need to put some of those things that are there that you couldn't imagine that existed together, so that when people come, they will be able to read it. The whole idea of these are things that have passed of if you do a letter in those days, if you do a letter to the US or the UK, to probably take you 3 months to go and 3 months to come back. That's 6 months. for a letter. And if you are getting small allowance from the UK from your friend or your brother or your uncle, probably takes you 3 months to clear £100. We have come a very long way. We need, and if I want to come to my village to Port Harcourt, from my village to Port Harcourt, probably takes me 2 weeks. Now, these things are things that you are doing it within 1 hour, 2 hours, and that. And the whole idea of aeroplane, flying by jets from one place to the other, by plane from one place to the other, was almost like an impossibility. The whole idea that our forefathers and grandparents and all that they died believing that things were what they believed, but today we now discover that it is not exactly what they believe. Needs to be put down. For instance, my great-great-grandparents, or not even my great-great-grand, 2 generations ago, probably thought that Jerusalem was in heaven or somewhere like that. We now discover that it is not there. So why shouldn't we tell our children who are coming? If we don't tell them, they will not know that there was when people couldn't travel from within 8 kilometers in a day. Yet we are doing it within Abuja in 30 minutes, or 20 minutes. So we need to write, and I'm writing, but title is not yet fixed. But when
So what if I suggest a title like Azibaola Robots Cultural Transformation? Does it go?
The word transformation will not be it will not be deep enough. It's like giving things fall apart. Okonkwo's cultural transformation. The things are falling apart. It's not transformation. So I will listen, look at what you have said. But it's not just about me. It's about a people, writing things that will inspire the world and say, yes, there was a culture, there were people, and yet we need to move away from these cultures, but these things existed then, so that we know where we are going. But right now, we don't know where we are going, and the goalpost is being shifted, but we don't know. Gradually, it's being shifted and shifted and shifted, and things we used to believe and know are no longer what it is today.
I think we've asked so many questions. I've gotten a lot of education from you today. But sir, looking ahead, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave for Nigeria through your work and innovations?
Okay, so while I was preparing to come here, I tried to see if I can do a few demonstrations for you. So I set up an equipment store. I'm an equipment person. I like tools. If you want to buy me a gift, don't buy me what are those beautiful products that they market to us abroad? Those shoes, beautiful shoes that cost a fortune, or this thing. Don't buy me simple things like hand gloves, okay, or something like a hammer.
Oh, man.
Makes me happy. Or you give me a tape, okay, or you give me a level, okay. So I have a lot of it here. Let me probably turn this thing. I wanted to show you a few of the tools that I have. So I have a lot of these tools here, which are my passion. Every day I use them. Now, my thing is, why don't I want to be able to drive the passion of the youth, especially young engineers, to practical application of things, not theorizing. Theorizing is good, but why don't we get somebody, a young man, to be able to be making this hammer, for instance, in his garage? I would love to have that. So I'm trying to see or this simple caliper, you know. So my passion is to be able to get people who are willing to do it, to say, okay, if I can't make the whole, why can't I make a part of it? And why do I have to wait until I get $1 billion to build a factory before I'll be able to make it? Start somewhere. Start with your garage. Start with your, evacuate somewhere and start to think what you can be able to make. Buy something and imitate it over time and make it better. So that we will, this mentality of, oh, original comment. I used to tell people that, look, I asked somebody what's original. Somebody was, original is the one that looks good, or this. No, original is the fake one. Mostly, most of the times, the original goods are the things that were made by the people who initiated it. And over time, other people now took it and make it better. So the original is the original. That is the original person who made it. The one that it is now more beautiful and more fashionable probably is an imitation of the original, but they now call that one original. So why don't you also start with making the imitation, the original, or making the imitation and making it better? So if I have maybe one person per state in this country to be able to inculcate this idea, and then people are beginning to make things, small bits of things. Over time, the country will be industrialized, will be nationalized. Nobody transfers technology, my brother. Nobody. I know that in this country, there is a law that is called National Office for Technological Transfer. I think I learned it when I was in the law school. Nobody, they'll say, oh, sign a contract that you are going to do it, and then after 4 years, you are going to transfer technology. Nobody transfers technology. Technology is taken. You have to take technology. And that's my own passion. So how do we take technology? Technology is no longer what's called, rocket science. Rocket science is no longer even rocket science. So that's where I'm going. If I can encourage a few people, the more resource I have and more people I am able to talk to start something, no matter how small, over time, we will probably get to a point where but we need energy most of the time, because most people need to produce things based on availability of energy.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you very much. Our very distinguished guests, Mr. Azibaola Robert. I think we have 3 segments of this program. We have come to the end of the first segment. The first segment is what we call the direct free kick, where the questions are directed to the guest and he responds to the questions. And then the second segment is what we call the corner kick segment, where the participants are also given the opportunity to make 1 or 2 contributions or ask questions. And the final segment is the extra time. I think we are going to be sorting out that one, where we also put the participants on the hot seat and ask them questions, and the lucky ones who answer the questions are going to be winning some prizes. So we are going to the corner kick segment, where we allow the participants. We have a rule. If you have a question, you click the raise hand button and then raise your hand. We unmute you to ask your question. So we'll be taking 1, 2, or 3 questions. Then before we go to the extra time segment and finally call it a day. Engineer Adolu Odushote.
Very well. First, let me quickly just say congratulations to Engineer Belosi and EGK Emmanuel for your tag teaming. Today is not your day. It is the day of your guest here. And let me say very, very big congratulations to I would nearly You go for an engineer any day with all that you have done and said. And you made the mechanical engineer very, very excited. I'm an engineer, mechanical engineer. How I feel, the way I feel this afternoon. You've raised too many issues about why we are where we are. And I would just like to quickly go to the question. The things that are the issues about the failure of the values of a nation and precision, issues about collaboration and trust, matters of policy somersault, the need to pay the price, particularly when we talk to our youths, the matters of education, consistent solution build up, political advocacy. I know how much of that I did when I came into Abuja and into the NSC when I started in 2003-04. But let me come to this, Mr. Azibaola. You mentioned the automotive manufacturing collaboration. Perhaps that would be a good place to ask you this question. How will this really be worked upon as a catalytic engagement? So that we're not just talking and talking, helping people to really be hands-on, just like you are doing. Perhaps if you answer that, it could include all the other things that might concern us. Thank you so much for the opportunity to ask you this question.
Oh, okay, Engineer AGKM.
I don't have something to write.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Fidelis Ejikeme. First of all, I want to thank our chief host for continuing to allow us to enjoy the arena. I had actually thought that the arena would fade away with your elevation as the Honorable Commissioner of Works and Infrastructure in Enugu State. So I sincerely thank you for keeping this alive. I'm sorry I joined late, but I also thank our presenter for such a nice presentation. Please, my question is this. If you were asked, I believe that Nigerian educational system needs reform because the system is not producing the required educated and trained people. We are not, we should not pretend. They get the degrees, they get the certificates and all that, but the knowledge is not there. How would we reform our educational system to be fit for purpose? And when I say fit for purpose, if you engage a lawyer today, you expect him not to be scolded by the judge or magistrate in the court because he wasn't showing a sufficient level of competence. Or if he's an engineer, his boss might be saying the same thing. Or if you ask somebody to go and patch a road, patch a pothole, that he knows how to do it. How do you think we can reform our educational system to bring it up to a higher level that is fit for purpose in the industrialized world? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And we take Engineer Batumbari.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir Engineer Ben. I want to say a very big thank you to Sir Mr. Azibaola. Listening to him, a lot of us are quite encouraged and also quite motivated. Is my big brother that we followed him all the way from UST, from Mkpolai to Mkpolumog to Eddie Hero and all of that. And I'm very much happy today because he's a leading light in engineering in Nigeria. And there is one aspect of his journey which I believe if he also deploys into, particularly with respect to influencing the system, because I know the impact that Azibaola made with respect to when he was with NG Hero fighting for the human rights in Niger Delta, of course, the country and the military regime as at then. I want to believe that because we look within the procurement space, he has talked so much about what could be done. And I think a lot of the bottlenecks within that system, from his own experience and influence in the construction industry as well as in manufacturing, what God has given to him in influencing the system. Because if you look within that space, a lot of collaboration could be made. And in as much as we have some executive orders with respect to local content, there are quite a lot of things that I believe that as that will lead to this industrialization and domestication of these productions. Thank you so much, Azibaola. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Before we go to I think that's the last question for the last comments. I don't know if you have any reaction on any of the comments made our guest.
Yes, I want to thank you for accepting me as part of you, even though I did not read engineering, and I'm practicing engineering. But I want to thank you for accepting me, and then also acknowledging that I am I'm motivating and mentoring some engineers in that respect. Particularly, I want to Adeolu talked about how do we collaborate in the precision technology in industries to be able to make Nigeria great. I hope I get it well. I think, yes, that's a lot of collaboration that needs to be done. And that's why I'm saying that instead of us stopping at the level of Nigerian Society of Engineers and then Koren, probably we really need to go further and deeper to get sectors, not the sectors based on our professional capacities and what we read. We know that sometimes someone could be a civil engineer, but will have a knack for mechanical engineering, and he can detour or differ into mechanical engineering. So who are those who are practicing various aspects of engineering? It's, I mean, this is an aside, I want to say, aside, and the aside of it is that the advent of the oil exploration and exploitation in Nigeria actually brought a lot of retrogression in this country. Such that most of our focus of engineering, the whole idea of focus on engineering went into, oh, we want to be a petroleum engineer, I want to be a mechanical engineer so that I can work in the oil and multinational oil companies and all that and all that. And I mean, without knowing consciously that we gradually slipped ourselves into some level of slavery. But I mean, this can be corrected by, you know, looking at it and saying, look, the world has advanced. The world has advanced beyond petrol and crude oil. In fact, in a few years to come now, the crude generation of energy by carbon elements will no longer be in vogue. And we are talking about renewable energy and all those energies that needs to be done. So we need a shift. Why should our national stay be on the basis of the production, the number of barrels of crude oil produced? And every engineer aspires to go and work for an oil company or an oil servicing company or something in that nature. And every civil engineer aspires to go and become a director in the Ministry of Works or the Ministry of Transport or one of those things. Why do we need to do that? We need to refocus our engineering. And that brings me to the second person, Ejikenu, who is talking about how do we propose our educational system to make it development oriented process. Yes, we have focused our education systems to a process of what we call holistic learning. That means you are learning everything. Human beings in these advanced times don't need to learn everything, just learn a part of it and be expert in it and produce it. You don't need a 5 years course to become a good engineer or something, except, of course, you are doing the general designs. So, yes, we are doing the design, but the other technical parts of engineering, everybody must not be someone that must have ENGR in front of his name before he becomes an expert in this thing. So, I remember as late as 2015, there were some technologies that were being controlled by nations. And for us as a third world country, if you go to buy, for instance, you go to buy a Mercedes-Benz, they will say they don't sell Mercedes-Benz to third world countries or to countries around the globe or in Nigeria. Today, there is so much competition because of globalization. And that globalization has made it possible for people who are retiring from major industries to go and start their own and set up something and compete with their primary employers. In other words, knowledge in the world has become so available that any nation that tries to control technology and make it impossible for export to other countries is losing. Because if you say that, for instance, the US is going to produce a ban from being exported to Nigeria, Nigerians will go to China and they will bring the same thing, probably even better. And in any case, most of these parts are made in China, sent to US and sent to Nigeria. Or made in Turkey, sent to Germany, and Germany sends to us. Most of my machines are made in Turkey, but bearing German names. So, in other words, who are those people who are making these equipment? They are people who are just factory workers who are on the line. In other words, just be on the line and make one part. All you need to do is to test the engine whether there is leakage. And the testing the engine whether there is leakage is you bring the engine down, you put it in water and pump air into it. Once you pump air into the into the fuel system, where there is leakage, their bubble will come out. It doesn't take rocket science to do that. So the next person, what does it take to carve an engine block? I mean, once you are able to, so education is the way that we are educating ourselves. We are educating ourselves for office. We are not educating ourselves for streets. We are not educating ourselves for factories in our garage. We are not educating ourselves for factories. So the Nigerian Society of Engineers, which most of you are leaders, needs to think that what are we really educating ourselves for? And in fact, most of the foreign universities where we even go and get our education, they're educating us on the basis of wearing ties and wearing suits. At the end of the day, becoming a director or something. We need to, and if you look at it, historically, the richest people in the world are people who did not get this holistic education. They ventured into it, they dropped their education aside and venture into it. So don't tell me that, oh, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I cannot do civil works. Don't tell me that, oh, I'm a civil engineer, so I cannot do mechanical works. I'm a lawyer and I'm proud that I'm able to do mechanical works and even do civil works to the level that I can say, yes, this is level of expertise. The other thing is we lack quality control in Nigeria. Just do it. That's what we say. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. So if an electrician wants to fix a simple thing like a switch on the wall, he fixes the switch and the painter comes and paints it, and then he stains it, and then it becomes poor quality. The person who is breathing down on you comes and says, ah, no, nigga, get away. Then they can now go abroad and bring somebody who has learned quality control. What does he do? He comes, he paints before he fixes the switch. And so it becomes neater and more beautiful. So quality control is part of it. How do we get our acts together in making things and building things based on quality, not based on quantity? Based on, going to sleep to say, yes, I did it and it came out well, and people clapping for you instead of building a huge monument which does not give mean. So those are the things. Now, my brother Baton Barry, I'm sure you are from Ogoni, so you are tracing my history from what I did in the university. Yes, thank you for remembering what we did in the university and fighting for the Ogoni people. I was in one of the forefronts of the Ogoni struggle, and I defended the Ogoni 19 after Ken Saro-Wiwa was killed. I was a friend of Ken Saro-Wiwa, and then we fought, and then through that process, democracy came back to Nigeria. Addressing international forums from one place to the other, United Nations, Geneva, all those places. I did travel to all those places and I traveled. But one thing that gives me passions to veer into this new struggle where I am is that I go to places abroad and I see that they take me on a tour of things that are abundant in Nigeria. Things that are more abundant and more beautiful in Nigeria, but we are unable to make it more beautiful for people to come for tourism. Why do we have more tourist outflow from Nigeria than tourist inflow? Yes, security concerns are issues, but because we also don't promote ourselves. We promote external people against our own self. So you now have all over the place, Abuja, for instance, is full of stones all over the place, beautiful stones. But we cannot build what we call a cart that will take us to the top of the stones. It's just cable. Put cable and put motor there, and then regulate it, this thing, and then somebody mounts it, and it takes you up the stone. You go, you have beautiful breakfast or lunch or dinner, and then you come back, and then you have enjoyed yourself. But I went to Israel and they took me to one of those places where I had to take cart, and I had so many tourists coming there to look at it. I was not looking at the beauty of the place. I was looking at what is there that we already have it here, and why do I need to go there? So you need to have those passions in order to get some of these things achieved. So anyway, I want to thank Baton Barry for reminding me of my past, and that I helped to achieve some of the things that he is happy I did. Yes, I did. And right now, I'm on a new struggle, and this struggle is about the Nigerian technology space. How do we get our acts together in the Nigerian technology space? Industrialization, yes. Precise engineering, yes. Buy the machines, come and make the goods that you need. Don't go and buy the goods that you need, because the machines that can make those goods are already available at the open market. Then technology was being protected, so machines were not being sold to third world countries. Now any CNC machine you need in this world, you can buy it and you can bring it, and then you can make this thing. And the thing is, I tell people that measurement, temperature, and humidity and all those things vary across the globe, whether in the US or in the UK or in Africa. Temperature varies, so probably it will increase your measurement by 0.05 millimeter or nanometer or something. But there are instruments and calibration instruments that they use to calibrate measurements. And those instruments that they use to calibrate measurements will measure and give you the same precise measurement, whether you are in the US or in the UK or in London, in Germany. And if you say that you are producing under a certain temperature range of maybe 30 degrees or less, you make that temperature available in place where you are producing, and produce your metals. World is being driven clearly by metals, whether metals for peace or metals for war. And in both places, we are lagging behind. By now, I didn't think that we need to import metals for war into this country. What is a tank? A tank, what is a tank? A tank is something that is wrapped in metals, and then the bullets pass through a hole, whether it is a 16 mm or 20 mm or something, bullets fire through the pipe. And what is the thickness of the pipe? These things are things that we can make. If we are not producing metal today, why don't we make the importation of metals into this country as cheap as the importation of less cheaper than importation of phones finished goods and all that. Why can't we say importation of solid metals comes with a custom duty of 5%? And then you will stand there and then you will see how Nigeria will progress. Overnight, we will overtake a lot of countries. So that is where, so educationally, we have to go to the microscopic level of education rather than educating ourselves for the whole, whereas we really don't need the whole. All we need now is small part of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our guest. And at this point, we are going to the final segment of this program, and get your keypad parts ready as we go the fastest finger. Question number 1. What is the motto of his company? Go. Now, before we announce the winner, what is the correct answer?
Are you asking me?
Or the motto of your company, Nigerians
building Nigeria.
Nigerians building Nigeria. So we look at the chat box to see the first to send in the correct answer. I think I can see from here Odemma Ifeanyi Chukwu, the sending in the correct first answer, and followed by Olawale Emiola and Yusuf Olatoye. I think you confirm from your own end. I see Odemma Ifeanyi
Odemma is
Chukwu.
correct.
Question number 2. Yeah, he had his NYSC. Go. So what was the year you had your NYSC?
1995-96.
1995. So we have the first person to send in the correct answer from this side is Chinedu Ona Olawale Emiola. So Chinedu Ona taking first, Olawale Emiola coming after that on that question. We have the first prize is Odemma Ifeanyi. The second prize is Chinedu. And the final question is this. What is the name, just the first name of his firm that is into manufacturing? Just the first name. So what is the correct answer?
Zetin.
Zetin. And Zetin
Yes.
is Zeetin.
Exactly.
And going to our, I've seen so many Kakata.
I think Ruben.
I've seen so many Kakata. I think is Ruben Ufinabe.
Ufinabe.
Ruben Ufinabe. So we have Odemma 1. We have 2 Chinedu. And we have 3 Ruben. So we are going to announce the prizes when we I am half-based now. So we are going to announce the winners are going to be getting their prizes, and you send in your numbers to us through Ejika or myself, and we'll be getting your prizes across to you when we have discussed with our guests, and we are going to get that across. Okay, so you are back, sir. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think, Ejika, final word from you before we now call it a day. But before we do that, I saw an army of very distinguished engineers. I may not call all of them, but let me especially recognize the president-elect of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Ali Arabi, who is a very good friend of the guest. I don't know if our president-elect would want to make one comment, a comment before we call it a day for today. Our boss, Engineer Ali Masu Arabi.
Thank you, Ben. I would have loved to keep quiet because, of course, you know the condition I'm in. But with a robot in the arena, it wouldn't be nice for me to be a participant and I don't make a comment or two. Let me once again congratulate Ben on his appointment as Honorable Commissioner in Enugu State. And then, of course, congratulate it's engineer in bracket, okay, Azibaola Robert. He is a very distinguished fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers with small letters. For appearing on the arena today, your responses to the questions put across were quite illuminating. You have spoken very well like an engineer, even though you are agitating that you don't have to go through a 5-year program to be able to put ENGR dot in your name. And one of the things you also said was that you should be allowed to practice mechanical engineering even if you're a civil engineer. For us, there will be confusion in the system if we do that. But it's fine that if you have a passion for a certain area, you can go into it, but you will not be so addressed as being your own discipline. Well, I think I need to stop here because the time is fast spent. Well, I've already spent 2 hours and I'm still counting. So I had told Ben when he was appointed Commissioner of Works in Enugu that he has to hand over this program to Ejika. And the first person Ejika will bring into the arena will be Ben himself. And he's working towards that, I can see. So, Ejika, you get ready. First person you are bringing is Ben O.C. Oko, Honorable Commissioner of Works and Infrastructure in Enugu State. Well done. It was a very interesting outing. And thank you, everyone who participated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our very distinguished President-elect, Engineer Ali Masu Arabi, for those encouraging words. And I think at this point, Ejika.
Sorry, Ben, just one last word. I want to thank Azibola for accepting to participate in my presidential investiture committee. I think he believe that you bring your wealth of experience to bear in adding value to the committee's assignment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And at this point, Ejika, I hand over to you to now wrap it up for today's edition.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much, especially to the incoming president, the deputy president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Ali Alimasi Arabi, FNSC, MFR, and for the privilege of co-hosting this arena, the 41 edition, with Honorable Engineer Ben Ositadima Oku, and especially putting our very amiable Mr. Robert Azibola on the hot seat. And it's been a wonderful time, a learning curve for us today. And for everyone who has attended this arena from the Engineering Telegraph, I want to say it will become bigger, 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 and bigger all the time. Thank you all for your time, and we appreciate you. And please, every word that Mr. Robert Azibola has said today should encourage us and help us to practice engineering professionally, especially taking the risk, solving problems. Thank you all very much, and see you at the next edition. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Bye.
And have a wonderful weekend ahead.
Thank you, and God
You
bless
too,
you
sir.
guys. Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much.
Bless you.
Yeah.